The auctioneer's voice cracked over the battered loudspeakers as if the dust-choked air of the market resented carrying such a cheap price. 3 credits, the man barked, sweat pouring down his forehead under the twin suns of the planet Vexor. 3 credits for the last beast. Going once, going twice. The crowd laughed. Some even booed. On the rusted platform stood the so-called beast. A dragon, if you could call it that. All bones and dull, cracked scales, wings sagging like ripped sails. Its head hung low, chains clinking around its thin neck. Its eyes, once supposed to be flames of gold, were now cloudy with exhaustion. It didn't roar, didn't even flinch at the jeers. To the people of Vexor, dragons were prizes, creatures of fire and fury, captured to fight in the pits or sacrificed in blood rituals to bring rain or riches. But this one was useless. 3 credits, someone sneered. Might as well sell it for meat. Cade Varen stood at the edge of the crowd, grease still smeared across his jacket from the shuttle engine he'd been repairing earlier that day. A mechanic by trade, a loner by nature. He didn't even know why he'd wandered into the auction. Maybe curiosity, maybe boredom, maybe fate, though Cade didn't believe in such things. The auctioneer was about to slam the hammer down when Cade's voice cut through the dust. "I'll take it," he said. The laughter grew louder. "Him? The Junkrat," someone howled. Cade ignored them and tossed 3 battered credits into the collector's tin. A pittance. He'd spent more on scrap metal that morning. The chains were handed to him, without ceremony. No warnings. No instructions. Why bother? The creature wouldn't even last a week. As the crowd dispersed, shaking their heads, Cade looked at the dragon properly for the first time. Its eyes met his. For a heartbeat, Cade swore he saw something there. Not fire. Not rage. Something older. Deeper. A quiet storm waiting behind the exhaustion. But then it lowered its head again, silent and broken. The mechanic and the dragon. Cade led the creature back to the outskirts of the scrapyard he called home. The smell of oil and metal filled the air, the constant hiss of steam vents punctuating the silence. He tied the chain to a post, set down a bowl of water, and stepped back. "Here," he muttered. "Drink. Or don't. Up to you." The dragon didn't move. Cade sighed, wiping sweat and engine grease off his brow. He had ships to fix, parts to weld, a living to scrape together. He didn't have time for dying beasts. Yet as the hours passed, his eyes kept drifting back. The dragon hadn't touched the water, hadn't closed its eyes either. It just watched him. By nightfall, the desert winds howled outside the yard. Cade tossed the creature some leftover scraps from his dinner. Finally, it moved slow, trembling, and ate. "Thought so," Cade murmured. "Not ready to die yet, huh?" The dragon's eyes glinted in the moonlight. Whispers in the dark. Over the next few days, word spread. The mechanic had bought the useless dragon. The one not even the priests wanted for sacrifice. The one that wouldn't roar. People came by to gawk, to laugh. Waiting for it to breathe fire? One man jeered. "You got cheated, Varen. Should have bought a goat instead." Cade didn't answer. Because at night, when the moons were high and the desert turned silver, Cade heard it. A low sound, deep in the dragon's chest. Not quite a growl, not quite a sigh. A hum, like the echo of mountains cracking under ice. Like a song older than language itself. It didn't make sense. None of it did. The ritual. On the 7th day, the priests came. Clad in crimson robes, their leader stepped forward, his voice oily with authority. "Mechanic," he said. "By law of Vexor, all dragons belong to the flame. That creature must be sacrificed at the solstice altar tonight." Cade stood his ground. "I paid for it. It's mine." The priest sneered.
No.
It belongs to the gods. It will bring rain to our dying crops. Do you think your metal scraps can do that? Behind him, the villagers murmured agreement. Dragons were power. Blood on the altar meant life for all. The useless dragon was dragged toward the cliffs where the altar stood.
It didn't resist.
Didn't roar. Cade followed, fists clenched. The kneel. The altar was a flat stone overlooking the desert, carved with runes older than the empire itself. Torches burned in the wind. The priests raised their knives. By the blood of dragonkind, the leader intoned, "Let the skies open." Wait. The voice was Cade's. He stepped forward, heart pounding. "Don't," he said. "It's done nothing to you." The crowd laughed bitterly.
Fool.
It's a beast. A tool for the gods. Cade ignored them. He turned and knelt.
Not to the priests.
To the dragon. Its clouded eyes locked on him. And for the first time, something shifted. A tremor rolled through the ground. The torches flickered violently. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of ozone. The dragon raised its head. And it roared. Not the weak croak everyone expected, but a sound like the sky itself tearing open. Like every storm held back for centuries finally breaking free. The villagers fell silent. Some dropped to their knees in terror. The chains snapped like thread. The dragon stepped off the altar, towering now, eyes blazing gold once more. And it stood beside the kneeling mechanic.
The choice.
The priests scrambled backward. "Control it," one screamed. "Kill it before." But no one moved, because the dragon wasn't attacking. It looked down at Cade, then out at the horizon where thunderheads gathered for the first time in decades. Rain began to fall. Not a drizzle. A deluge. The parched earth drank greedily. Crops would live. Rivers would swell. The desert would bloom again. And the dragon? It spread its wings, whole and unbroken now, as if the storm itself had healed it. The priests stared in awe. The villagers whispered of omens, of prophecies. But Cade just stood there, soaked to the bone, staring up at the creature he'd bought for 3 credits. The departure. At dawn, the dragon turned toward the open desert. "You're leaving," Cade said quietly. It lowered its massive head until its golden eye was level with him. For a moment, Cade thought he felt gratitude. Then, with a sweep of its wings, it launched into the clouds, vanishing like a dream after waking. The villagers called it a miracle. The priests claimed it was the will of the gods. But Cade knew better. It wasn't the altar. It wasn't the sacrifice. It was the kneel. The moment he treated it not as a tool, not as a monster, but as something more. Something free.
Epilogue.
Weeks later, traders spoke of sightings. A golden dragon soaring above distant mountains. Rivers flowing where deserts had once been. Cade listened quietly, oil-stained hands busy with another broken engine. He didn't tell them about the night sky cracking open, about the roar that shook the world. He just remembered the way it had looked back at him. 3 credits. The best trade he'd ever made.